Call the City Commission meeting at August 27th, meeting to order. First item on the agenda will be the August 13th minutes. Any changes? No. Okay. Stand is written. Next item on the agenda, July 2020 financial statement. Mr. Rupp.
Evening, Commissioners. Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. This is a report of the financial summaries for the City of Hayes, month ended July 31, 2020. Revenues in July totaled $2,509,427. That's a decrease of $125,689 compared to the same time last year. Some notable areas of increased revenue in July: residential water consumption was up 35%, with business consumption up 26%. That translated into total water revenue up 22% for the month. Year to date, total consumption is up 8%, with revenue up 11%. Revenue decrease: state gasoline tax for special highway revenues fell $25,000. This revenue source is receipted quarterly, and year to date, the tax is off $19,000. Expenditures in July totaled $2,876,271. That's an increase of $315,770 as compared to 2019. Notable areas of increased expenditures: there were 3 payroll periods in July 2020 as compared to 2 in 19, so this equates to a total increase of about $435,000 in the salary line item across all funds. Airport repairs to buildings and structures was up $10,500 for some terminal remodel projects in the fixed base operators area. Projects in Commission capital reserves increased $105,000 in connection with the budgeted Canal Boulevard reconstruction. Health insurance for employee benefits rose $9,000. Purchase of new Motorola radios for the police department increased new equipment reserve expenditures by $37,600. The increase of $174,000 in special highway budgeted capital projects expenditures was for the seal coating that was included in the 2020 street maintenance program. Notable areas of decrease in expenditures: capital projects expenditures fell $348,000. That's due mainly to the Ash, Elm, and 4th, as well as the East 41st Street improvements completed at this time a year ago. Payments to outside agencies of Fort Hayes and Grow Hayes at this time last year decreased economic development expenditures by $142,500, so that's simply just a timing. Equipment expense and projects were down $73,000 in the water fund due to the work on the Smoky Wells and well rehab activities at this time a year ago. Month-to-date general fund sales tax collections were at $661,399. That's an increase of $33,000 or 3% as compared to last year. Year-to-date collections are at $4,354,747. That's up $135,575 or 3.2%. The 6-month average is at 3.63, which is an increase of 3% when compared to a year ago. So that was quite a surprise to us. The original projection we had during COVID restrictions was at negative 25% for July, so that 3% was a welcome sight. Report of top 10 quarter-to-date sales tax collections by classification was up $4,900 or just 0.25%. The largest categorical drops in there continue in accommodation, clothing, and food services. Finally, the portfolio certificates of deposit on July 31, 2020 totaled $52.55 million with a weighted average interest rate of 1%, down 1.4 from a year ago. Those are dropping fast. Total of the U.S. Treasuries at par value is $1,477,000 with a weighted average yield and maturity of 1.59. The total balance of the money market account on July 31 was $500,000 with a current yield of 5 basis points. And total investments are down $6.823 million when compared to this time last year.
I'll make a motion that we approve the July 2020 financial statement.
Seconded.
A motion and a second. Any comments? Good numbers. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Kim.
Kim.
Just a little bit of housekeeping here for people in the audience. We've been doing this setup for many months, ever since we've done social distancing, the mask policy, City Hall. So this isn't just for tonight's meeting. We've been doing this for many months. So I know many more people wanted to come, but that's what we've done at City Hall. So do we have any citizen comments or non-agenda items? Okay. Consent agenda, we don't have a consent agenda. Next item on agenda, City of Hayes face mask requirements extension. Jason, would you mind coming and giving us an update, please? Thank you. Jason.
No problem. Do I run this? There we go. Jason Kennedy, Ellis County Health Services Director. So obviously I've consulted with a few of you guys prior to tonight, and you guys asked me to come tonight and give you a short update. This graph you see before you is our 7-day average case growth. I actually did not include anything before June because we just didn't have anything. We had a few individual cases, one or two cases off and on, but before June we really didn't have much in Ellis County. See, our case growth started fairly predominantly around July 2nd to July 4th. From July 4th, you see a run up to July 18th. July 18th was our peak of our initial wave. As of July 18th, our 7-day case growth started to slide from there. You see on 7/23, I included that date because that's the date you guys voted for the original mask mandate in this room. From 7/23, our cases fell continuously to 7/27, which was when the mask mandate went into place. From there, we continued down to a daily average case growth of 1.3 to 1.4 at our low. Then you can see the last week. So the last week, the bar is at 18 per day, and we're actually higher than that. This stops back as our last report 2 days ago. So I present this tonight not to say that masks don't work or do work. I present this tonight so that we can see that mandates are the issue. That case growth is because people are tired of mandates. They're tired of making good choices. They're tired of the virus. We don't get that option right now. We don't get to be tired of it and it just goes away. This wave, this initial wave you see, is a wave we'll see again and again and again. The virus is not going away. It's part of society. It will be here as long as I'm here. We are, 2 months? 2 months into our growth in Ellis County. We're 6-7 months into the virus in its entirety in the U.S. We're at least 4 or 5 months away from any kind of medical vaccine or anything that is going to be a cure. A vaccine will not be an on or an off. The vaccine will be hopefully effective, and hopefully we'll have it in a timely manner. Hopefully we can get enough doses to get enough people vaccinated to get us to the point that we feel safe. But this graph, as long as we test and as long as we chart, this graph will continue to go. We'll see waves, we'll see plateaus, and we'll see flats. We don't get to be tired of the virus, and it doesn't make it go away. So tonight, as you listen to the people, and as you make your decision, I ask you to vote for time and sentiment of the public to develop a plan of what the next year looks like. I provided Toby with my plan, the county's plan that we've had since the start.
Thank you.
If we don't plan this, the public will continue to get less and less involved in mitigation measures. Mitigation measures only work on 2 factors: widespread adoption, and the public has to believe in either the measure or the individual telling them to take the measure. Right now, there's a large group of people that don't believe in either one of those. Ask them tonight for time and to trust that the plan that you guys put together will be based in fact, science, and will carry us through so that we can continue to make decent, educated decisions as we go through the next year, 2 years, 3 years, however long this goes. If we continue to make individual decisions based on point references in time, we will continue to lose public sentiment. Ask them for time, make a plan, and move forward with it. You guys have any questions for me?
Yes, I do have a question. You said it went down with the mandate, and then you said people got tired of it, so it went up. I guess I question that a little bit because Fort Hays came back,
Sure.
and we tested like crazy, and they continue to test like crazy.
Yeah, but our percent of positive is also about 18 times higher than what it was. So percent of positive shows not, if your percent of positive increases, it doesn't show an increase in just testing. It shows an increase in spread. If you keep the same percent of positive and you increase your tests, obviously you're going to find more cases, but your percent of positive stays the same. As your percent of positive increases, it shows that you have additional community spread, additional infections on top of just your increase in testing capacity.
Not yet. Sorry.
I've been fortunate enough to have a little bit of a conversation with Jason, and all I'm asking for is clarity. I'm really trying to get clarity on this. Can I not assume that these surges that we've had in the last 2 weeks, that's the student population? That's coming out of bars, that's coming out of 7th Street. That's not the Main Street people wearing masks.
Sure, but it doesn't matter. Those people are in our community.
I
So
agree.
whether they give up on the measure or other people do, it doesn't matter. It still leads to case growth. We need everybody. Anyone that is currently in Ellis County, including visitors, including students, including residents, including John's cousin who shows up for the weekend.
Right.
We need everybody to make this work. Students are a part of this case growth, and my press release has been fairly clear with that. Currently, right now, 77% of our active cases, which stand at 127 active cases, is from the population 18 to 24. Well,
Draw your own
not all of them
conclusions.
are on campus, though. We have our own community members. We have our own people that aren't four-day state students that are included in that. We also have 60-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 80-year-olds. So we have cases across the entire population. We have more cases, as you can see.
And I'm not speaking for you, but I'm going to assume you still are not in favor of large gatherings.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
No, please no. Like I don't know. I don't know how many times that I can express that if we can keep people out of gatherings, it doesn't matter what measures you take inside a large gathering. They all help. Washing your hands, social distancing, wearing the mask, all that kind of stuff helps inside of especially an indoor mass gathering. But if you gather in groups, you increase your chances of contracting COVID, and there is no mitigation measure that we can say that is going to make that better besides just not going.
We have a couple questions. One's a little bit, I guess, directly towards Matt. So your press release last night came out, and it says right there, do wear a mask if you cannot socially distance. So you are, mask work. I understand where you're coming from
Told
the
you guys
mandate,
day one,
but
mass
the way
work
our
and high viral
the way our
density and
mandate
high
is
population
right,
density.
the way our
environments.
mandate reads, I mean, that's the whole idea of the mandate. If you can't social distance, now I get it. You don't want us to tell it, but if you're in a business setting, we get these emails. I don't want to be at work all day for 7 days wearing a mask. But if you're this far away from your coworker all day long, then the mandate doesn't really go towards you. The mandate is specifically addressing this
Right.
social distance. So
Sure.
they're supposed to be doing that anyway. I get where you're saying we shouldn't be telling them to do it, but to say that everybody's just going to take it on themselves, and I get that from the emails we're getting. It's on me to do that, but that's kind of the idea, that the mandate's kind of that extra step to say we're following what you're telling us to do.
Sure. And don't confuse, I'm not telling you to do anything tonight. I make recommendations, and I've showed you the numbers. You guys decide.
The next thing I have is it's off the mandate as far as masks go, but does the pandemic plan address the overall community health with other factors, like as we go into flu season, as we get closer to that, in our community, all of a sudden we see a couple hundred cases of the flu coming through, but we're also still combating dozens of cases of COVID. Or other, there's other examples of, staph infections on football teams have happened. That's happened on Fort Hays a couple years ago. They had a staph infection. They had to shut down for a week and disinfect. Pink eye could be, something that could go through a daycare. So does it address having multiple types of health issues? Or is it just basically standalone on COVID.
No, the plan and any good plan would address what's happening in the community. So that falls under the hospital capacity. So if hospital capacity, if we see, 27 cases of pink eye probably doesn't impact the hospital capacity and probably doesn't mean that we would dictate a community-wide measure to do something for that. But 27 hospitalizations of flu patients puts us into a different level because our hospital capacity now has to figure into those patients. So if we have COVID patients coming in, so hospital capacity is part of the gating matrix for our plan.
Regardless of what it really
Yeah,
is.
it doesn't matter. It's just hospital capacity.
Are you seeing more people in the hospital from other communities coming to Hayes lately? Because other communities are surging also, it's not just Hayes.
Yeah, I actually don't release the hospital's numbers. That's their numbers to release. So we've had thankfully we've had low hospitalization rates of Ellis County residents. I think as it stands today, we have one Ellis County resident, but it's a very valid point that they have a large catchment area.
Right.
So their hospital capacity is dictated not only by what happens in Ellis County, but what happens in counties around us, and that's something that HMC would want to address.
And that is something that I was contacted today by somebody that works at a hospital saying that, nobody knows how many people are coming into our hospital from other counties. So if we have a bunch of people from Ellis County going to hospital, it could fill up pretty fast.
Nobody knows what the hospital capacity is or how many people are coming in. The
Either or.
hospital
Either
knows.
or. Well, the hospital knows.
And so do I. I know what our ICU capacity is. I just don't release the hospital's numbers
That's
for
fair.
them.
I respect
We
that.
monitor that.
Okay, all right.
Do you have any idea currently in Ellis County how many people in the last week, let's say, have been quarantined?
No, I'll be honest, I don't. Prior to
More
the spike that started right there, now I know we have 127 active cases that are in isolation that are positives, but prior to that spike, I would have had an answer for you. But honestly, we got 72 cases dumped in our laps on Saturday, another 20 some a day since then, so I don't have a total for you on how many individuals are in quarantine.
Okay, because, that has a big thing to do with how many people are not able to go to work. How many people,
It's affecting the businesses.
if they're quarantined.
Sure.
How many businesses have to close because of that. And there's got to be some kind of a direct correlation between the number of cases and the number of people that are quarantined. And that's what I
Sure.
would.
And what you speak about is what's actually called the R naught. So the R naught of a virus is the amount of people that you will infect. So the R naught of measles and TB is around 16, which means for every one positive, 16 other people will likely become infected. The R naught of COVID-19 is 1.4 as of the last time I saw it. It might actually be higher now because we've seen such massive spikes really across the nation. We're around 1.4, 1.6. So what that means is that for every one person that has COVID-19, they will impact 1.6 other people.
Thank you.
Or actually, sorry, 0.6 for every one is 0.6. So it takes 2 people to make 1 with the current R naught. Measles is 16. It's an airborne virus.
Any other questions before we get on with the meeting, guys?
I know I had one,
Go ahead, you got,
Lost it?
there's no limit for you.
I really
appreciate
appreciate.
Jason, thank you.
Jason.
Yeah, I
you
appreciate you
coming.
taking the time to
Thank
talk
you.
to us, whether it's here or in your office, because we're all just trying to do a good job, and the information that you put together is invaluable to us and our community. So,
One thing that I do question, and I'm not really, this isn't really directed at you, but you went in front of the county commission and said that we need to stop large gatherings. And you guys said you're following your plan. That's all I've heard. Tonight's the first I've seen. I know Toby emailed us a couple days ago about this plan. I knew you had a plan. I hadn't seen it. It would have been nice, I think, for the city and county to work together to have this. To me, months ago, I think it would have been nice. But the county commission kind of backtracked when people started saying, "Oh, I want to have my wedding," so now they're having gatherings again. And we get chastised because supposedly we don't have a plan, but the county says they're following his plan, but then they don't. And if we're supposed to work together, I don't know who we're supposed to believe anymore.
Actually, this is why you follow a plan. That wasn't on my plan, but I saw it coming. So my plan actually doesn't include canceling mass gatherings with the rate of spread that we had.
Okay.
But I knew in November, December, we were likely going to have a problem. because that's what the projections said.
And you did say that.
And I know it takes months to cancel, redo a wedding, whatever you need to do for your special day. So my plan was to get ahead of that, give people notification in time, because I know people come into town, they whatever. So it's the one time I've deviated from that plan, and I'm still okay with it, because I think it was a good decision. Whether it's the right decision, there are no right decisions with COVID, and the first person that tells you they have the right decision is lying. So it was my attempt to get ahead of the plan, to give people plenty of notification so that they could reschedule, redo, cancel, make notifications, whatever you need to do for a wedding. I'll be honest, my wife planned mine. I had nothing to do with it. So I don't know how that works, but it and so it wasn't included in the plan. And if you see it, canceling mass gatherings is not included until phase 3.
Okay. I respect that. I mean, COVID seems like to me it changes daily.
Well,
Whether
you
you're a
s-
business owner or just anybody.
I've said that before, and you just really kind of confirmed that. There are so many right answers, but there's no right answer. There's a right answer today, but it may not be the same right answer for tomorrow. And I think that's the difficulty in everything we're doing and working with, is trying. I mean, we're in uncharted waters. We have nobody from Dr. Fauci on down that knows where this thing is going to go. That's the concerning part. That's the concerning.
I would agree.
But again, we appreciate you.
Thank you,
Where,
Jason.
where are we with between phase 2 and phase 3? How close are we to phase 3?
If you look at the plan and everything's in there, we're actually about 22 cases away from phase 1. So we're and that's just with daily case rates. Our percent of positive is there, but our percent of positive actually right now, because of the mass spike, our percent of positive actually isn't addressed in there, because our percent of positive says that we're above 20%, which CDC says you're just not testing enough. So we've requested state's help for their testing trailer, their mass testing trailer, so that we can get some rapid tests, especially for the population that isn't staying put. We're actually, all of our partners in the medical community have done a phenomenal job of testing as much as they possibly can, and making sure that we've always had access to testing. So we're looking at that, addressing on that side of it, to see if we can get back to where we actually know what that community spread number is.
It's good to hear.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. All right, so commissioners, if you're okay with this, and please speak up if you disagree, because this is our meeting, not my meeting. We have chosen to have Dr. Amy Hogan. Somebody emailed us, want to have their doctor speak. I made that decision to say, yes, you can. I have a doctor, Heather Harris, after this doctor speaks. I'm going to read her statement you guys have. And if the press would like this, you guys are welcome to it once I'm done.
What was the first doctor's name? I'm sorry.
Amy Hogan. So what I'd like to do is, as I sent out, we've all had a zillion emails, and I respect every single one of them, and I've read every single one. I've tried to respond when I can, and I apologize if I haven't responded to you guys. But my goal was, unless you guys tell me different, is rotate between if you support it, one that doesn't support it, 5 on each side. That's it. We'll make our statement, make a motion of whatever we want to go with that. And I ask Commission that we be respectful. We've all received many emails that weren't so respectful. Anybody that takes time to email me, I appreciate it, whether you agree or disagree. But I will ask the audience, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. They will have a timer, so I don't have to do it on my phone this time. I'm going to give the doctor 5 minutes because they're on the phone. And staff is going to do the 3 minutes, or whoever's doing that. I ask you to be respectful, and if you're not, I'm going to ask you to leave. And I appreciate you guys coming, And after this night's over, whether you agree or not, I will still show you guys respect whether we agree or disagree. So if we could call Dr. Amy Hogan, and I'll tell the doctor when we get on the phone that we'll limit her to 5 minutes.
Dr. Hogan, can I help you?
Yes, Dr. Hogan, this is the mayor of Hayes, and we have you live on the phone for our meeting. And I had a resident contact me, said you would like to talk. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, we are limiting tonight. I would like to keep it 5 minutes or less, if you could, please. But we do appreciate your time.
Okay, and make sure I understand that, do I understand that you're deciding whether or not to continue the mask mandate in Hayes? Making sure that I understand the question at hand, is that
Yes.
what we're talking about?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good, so I have the right information. I am a rural Kansas physician, regular MD, that is, I do have lots of patients actually though that are in Hayes area. And so certainly this does apply to me and to many of the patients that I have served. And also just, I'm a human advocate. I'm an advocate for men, women, and children to live their lives and to do the best that they can for their health. I also advocate for lots and lots of sick people. You know, sick people come and go into the clinic. And so we definitely use viral precautions whenever someone comes into the clinic. In fact, I have an N95 in my pocket, and I change it out, you know, from time to time, and have done that for the last 10 years because when someone comes in and they're sick, I will mask up. So if you will, I did this before it was popular. And the other part that's really interesting is I think that we, as humans, we want to have good physical health, but we also want to have good mental health. So one of the things that's come to my attention in the last 3 months when we've had more of an aggressive mask mandate is that the psychological effects, especially on children, is devastating. And what I say sometimes is I think the worst part of all of this is that we're terrorizing our children. What do I mean by that? We have communication of our bodies, the words that we say, and also the facial expression. For children, especially the younger ones, you know, 3 to 5 and below, those children take about 50 to 80% of their communication, not from the words that we speak, but by the actions and the emotions that are expressed by our faces and our bodies. So when we have the entire community masked, unfortunately, we're seeing the children are now having after effects. We're seeing psychological effects of children. One of my best friends here in my hometown is a licensed clinical social worker. She's seeing so many times where people are either more anxious, more fearful, more depressed. She's so busy. How sad, though. It is another peer of mine who actually is a patient. She does family and children counseling, marriage and family counseling. And she said even children from happy homes are now fearful to leave their homes, fearful to leave their mom and dad for fear that they might die. And that's unfortunate because, as you know, the news is changing every day, but we're down to a very low death rate on this virus. So back to the virus, let's stay on topic. When I first began to research corona in January, it was quickly evident with just a very brief internet research that coronavirus is 1 in 10 head colds. That means a lot of us may have had it. There's a very good chance that a lot of us have had a corona in our lifetime. The other thing that you'll know from having, now that we've got a lot of antibody testing in the news, there's a lot of people getting blood antibodies or nasal swab testing for the new coronavirus, that if you had one of the other multiple coronaviruses, your test may or may not be valid. And in fact, they'll say that on the lab test at the bottom in the little writing that says, when you get this test, know that the risk and benefit is it may be not the current coronavirus. Because again, 1 in 10 head colds has been corona type. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that, and not a lot of people are talking about, is that, oh, this is so new, this is so new, this is so different or novel. But SARS-1, which was out in the news a couple of years back, it is 78% similar to the current virus. SARS-2 is what they call it. So as far as being completely novel or completely different, it's just not true. So a lot of us may have antibodies already that we can help fight off the virus. That's good news. The other thing is that just as, again, a human advocate, an advocate for men, women, and children, is that another quick research point I found, if you want the entire story, go to, in town, you have the Divine Mercy radio station, and I have about an hour-long talk on their One Body show. So click on One Body. You can hear that 45-minute to an hour talk about what I call common sense of COVID.
1 minute,
But,
please.
yes, sir. In our society, there are 320,000, and that's a small estimate, of viruses out there that could affect mammals. So my humble medical opinion is we're going to have to learn to live with this one. So as far as requiring masks, I think that when you have an oncology clinic or you have a clinic that has lots of autoimmune people that have difficult health conditions, they can mask. We're not going to take it away from them. And in fact, we should, and I do, for those people, and definitely for sick people. But as far as requiring every man, woman, and child to wear a mask, I think that unfortunately is terrorizing our society. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it very much.
Yes, sir. Have a great night.
Yep, you too.
Mayor, do we know where Dr. Hogan is from?
I don't.
I'm sorry?
Fine.
Salina, thank you.
Okay. So, Commission, if you would, and you guys do have a copy of this, is from Dr. Heather Harris. And she said she would come tonight and say this in person, but I told her with the limited space, I just thought it would be best. So that was she told me today she would have came. She starts out, why mask? It could save a life or prevent an individual from missing weeks or months of work recovering from COVID. Masks are not the entire answer, but part of the answer. Our goal until there is a cure or vaccine for COVID is to decrease the exposure and the number of individuals that could become ill from COVID. Decreasing our community's exposure to COVID includes wearing a mask, social distancing, and washing your hands. Decreasing the number of people that fall ill to COVID keeps our businesses open, schools full of students, and the economy moving forward. Masks block contagious droplets and reduce the risk of infection. It is a simple measure that could make an impact with no harm. I support that we continue to use face masks so we can continue to reduce, unfortunately not eliminate, the number of individuals that become ill from COVID. Lives could be saved from this simple measure. Dr. Harris. For what it's worth. Are you guys okay with me have the audience come and speak?
Ready
or-
whenever.
Okay. So first, as of right now, we don't have any for, so we're going to have 5 people speak. The first one will be Ms. Marcy Prey. Please, yes, please come up and speak your name, please. Thank you, Marcy.
You bet. First of all, guys, thanks for everything that you're doing. We even know it's just a hard time. My name is Marcy Prey. I've been here since '98 as a resident of Hayes, and I love this community. I'm a mother of 6, and I have been a nurse for 40 years, so I've seen viruses like this before. We've been through this before with SARS, with Ebola, AIDS. I mean, it's something that medicine sees. First, I think the bottom line is we don't know a lot about COVID. We really don't. Jason's very knowledgeable. The stats are good, but we really don't know. I know a woman that had COVID and was pretty sick of it. Her husband never got it. Well, they didn't wear masks. I mean, we don't know. The masks themselves, I think, are ineffective. I mean, people wear them halfway. They go in, they go to their place in the restaurant, they take them off. I mean, it's not effective. Plus, the eye mucus is, that's available too for any kind of projectile or any kind of droplets. I mean, it's a concern there. And I think the fear factor is what I'm worried about too. Like Dr. Hogan said, this is, everybody's afraid. And that in itself is a concern. If you want to wear a mask, I respect that. If you want to use one of those walkers or one of those little things in Walmart to get around I respect that. That's fine, whatever you feel is comfortable, but as an adult, don't tell me I need to wear a mask. I'm offended by that. I told my children when they were young what they had to do to protect them. But as they became more teenagers, I gave them the education. Educate us, give us all the education, and we still need to make our own decisions as adults. And I think that's where we want the respect in that way too. When you start infringing on our freedoms, even as little as this seems, it starts to mount and it gets bigger and bigger. And then where are we going to go? We can't go to church. We can't do this. We can't sing at church. We can't do this. Are you kidding me, guys? This is not our community. I mean, if you want to stay home, and if you're sick, you should stay home. But I think we're all adults to know what we should be doing here. And the only other thing I implore, I really, and this is a little off the subject, but I really wish somebody would take the stand for the folks in the nursing home. My mom is 99 in a nursing home. My goodness gracious, that's solitary confinement. That is the worst punishment we give our prisoners. Those nurses go in there. They can garb up. I can garb families up. I can garb whatever. I'll give them showers, whatever they need, but no one's standing up for them. And it breaks my heart to see that, among other things, funerals and everything else, that people can't gather. Sometimes I think it needs to be the chance and not the choice. So,
Marcy, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Tammy, I guess we don't have any, okay. We'll go to the next one for, I guess, against Tammy Worth. Please. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you. Hi, my name is Tammy Worth, and I just want to first say I respect everybody here. I just want to say, be kind. I saw some horrible things on Facebook, for and against, and just respect each other. Let them choose if they want to wear a mask. If they don't want to wear a mask, that's great. I want to say I have something for each of you to take to read whenever it's too long for me to go over right now. But it's how to put on and remove a face mask properly. You need to Germex. You have to put it on, not touch it. I'm in the grocery store. My cashiers are touching and moving it because they can't breathe. They touch my produce. Their hands are touching it after they've touched their mask. It's supposed to be catching all the germs. That is terrible. I don't want to see that. I walk in and they have it under their nose. It's just, nobody is wearing it right. They're wearing it because they don't want conflict and it's a mandate. That is not what we need here. We need a choice. We need people to wash their hands. We need people to stay home when they're sick. We can't keep just, we'll mandate this mask and it's gonna go away. COVID's here. It's gonna stay. We've got to build up a herd immunity to this, and the only way to do it is unfortunately for people to catch it. I had it 7 weeks ago. I'm a type 1 juvenile diabetic for 25 years. I'm a high-risk patient. I had a fever for 2 days, aches and pains. It wasn't comfortable. I got through it. I'm here, I survived. It's not scary. I don't want people to be scared. You can survive and have it. I was around my 85-year-old grandfather and grandmother the day before. I was fine, felt great. I'm a caregiver to them. I came into their house, hugged my grandpa, left. I had a funeral. I went and took food. My grandma and my mom were in the car with me. I hugged my uncle, my cousin, left there, took them home, went home. The next day I started getting a fever. Unfortunate, I was panicked. I was like, Lord, please take me, but don't take my grandpa. I was scared because he has lung problems, and I was so afraid. The next morning, I was in that doctor's office, got a COVID test. It came back positive. I quarantined. I have 2 sons and a husband in the home. No one got it. My husband slept with me. I didn't wear a mask. I cooked. I cleaned. I did everything like I normally do, except I stayed home and didn't go anywhere else, and nobody else got it. Praise God. My grandma and grandpa didn't get it. My mom and dad didn't get it. None of my family members got it. So I'm fortunate for that. But I just want to say, people, don't be scared, because you will get through it. It's a low death rate. Influenza is worse, and I'm afraid with these masks and these kids at school, when influenza comes, it's going to spread like wildfire because they're touching it and all the saliva and snot in their mouth. Because kids can't just prevent that, and they're always touching them. But just thank you guys for your time, and I'm so glad I could speak tonight.
Thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
just hand you these after we're finished.
You could leave it with
Oh,
somebody.
there you go.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tammy.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, Cosmo Kramer, please.
Hi there. Thank you, everyone, for letting me speak tonight. My name is Comas Creamer, and I am a Hayes native, born and raised. Love this community. I moved back, and my kids love this community. I love it. My background is in a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. My specialty was in child trauma, and I had worked out of state and moved back here. I, too, am very concerned about children's mental health right now. I had many phone calls when we kind of put together a little group to have unity to say, you know what, we need to stop these mandates. And that concerned me. I had people crying on the phone to me. I said, I feel the same way. The things that are traumatic to kids or to you may not be the same thing. There's many things I addressed as a therapist that I would have never thought traumatic, but they were very traumatic kids. This is traumatizing kids in our community. I promise you that. I don't want to argue the mask. I think that's been argued enough with it needs to be worn correctly. There needs to be a certain mask. It can prevent some things. So I'm not gonna say that. There's doctors that say 50% that say don't wear them, 50% that say do wear them, right? So, but here's my next point. We need to be able to decide what we want to do with our health care. Not someone else to say, this is a doctor we need to listen to. There's the mandate. No, there's a doctor that you might go to that I would not go to for my health. I would go and choose my own doctor for me and my family. Having the mandate and the school board having issues with the school, which is a whole nother topic in another place, I understand that. That is a big concern. That's not for them to decide. When government starts deciding health care, there is a big issue. Do you know what issue will come from that? I don't know, but let me just tell you what might come from that. It might be we get so comfortable with government deciding our health care that when vaccines come, whether you're for or against, we're all forced to have it. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I could tell you my own idea, but at the same time, that could happen to us. So be aware of that. The other thing is the prolonged use of the mask. Everyone's wearing these cloth masks. I have a cloth mask because it's easier, but I also am super healthy. I'm not big into the mask mandate. So if I want to wear the mask, I'll wear it. If I don't want to. But do we know the risk of the prolonged exposure for those people that are wearing it 8 hours a day and not changing it out? Do we realize that if, like what Mrs. Worth had said, when the bacteria comes out and they touch it with their hands and are doing stuff, are they going to get more sick? Are our kids going to get more sick? If they do, who do we sue? Because we're mandated to wear it. They're mandated to wear it. Who do we sue? Because I promise there will be some lawsuits going on as well. These are things we need to be aware of. Also, last thing, this community is strong. This community is bonded together. The citizens of Hayes are amazing. That's why I come back. I've lived in Hawaii, in Las Vegas, in Utah. We have something unique here in Hayes, America. And with that mandate, it divided us. And like Jason said, we definitely had a problem there with people just rebelling against everything. We don't want that to happen. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for coming.
Okay. Next on the list, Darren Hilger. Did I say that right? Right here, sir. Just say your name for the record, if you would, sir.
Certainly. I'm Darren Hilger. I come to you as a 21-year resident of the area. I lived in Hayes, but I've since moved outside of town. But I come to town for work, and my kids go to school in Hayes. And that's going to be kind of my presentation. I'm not wanting to debate or, there's been a lot of good statistics presented both ways, and that's one thing about statistics. Statistics derived for a purpose aren't always a complete example. But me as a family man, I do have small children, school age. I'm the primary educator of my child, or all of my children. This fear presentation or fear narrative that I feel like the masks present. It's kind of a lack of freedom. It's more of a fear-based approach. We as parents, we might not like it. Might not like the masks, but we feel like, okay, we're not going to cause a problem. We're going to go ahead and wear them. The children, okay, you need to wear it for school. But it's causing a sense of, I wouldn't say distrust, but just confusion in my children. I can speak for them. Like, why are you doing this, Mom and Dad, if you don't believe in it, or if you're worried that it could do harm? And we've heard doctors saying there's no harm in the mask. We've heard a doctor say that there can be. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of speculation, and just, I guess, me as a longtime resident in the area, Hayes, like the speakers before said, we kind of have a unique culture here, and it's kind of we're strong, we will survive. We kind of, sometimes it's a little old-fashioned, and I like that. I do like that about it. So it's concerning when we have this, what feels like a societal Simon Says. It's like, how much can we be told what to do and how to do it before people start losing the game, if you will. But I just wanted to say those things. Like I said, I'm not trying to cause strife or anything. I just wanted to voice concern. Say I worry most about the children, my children specifically, and everybody else's children too. I hate to see. I miss seeing children's smiles. Our kids are learning to try to always interpret what someone says just by the words they're saying, not facial expressions. We're losing parts of language, and okay, that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it very
so
much.
much for coming.
Next would be Kayla Acosta, please.
I wrote this out so I didn't blab on and ramble. I was compelled to be here tonight just
Kayla,
because.
can you identify yourself?
Oh, Kayla Acosta. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Just because of the recent events in our community and nationwide. During the last month that these masks have been forced upon our community, especially, it blows my mind that such a sweeping social change, that there's never been a debate, nor have there been any laws passed. There's never been any kind of due process. Instead, it's just been forced upon us by our elected officials and passed down from the governor. Even more troubling is that people have blindly accepted these mandates without protest or proof. Such passive subservience and outright tyranny kind of just fills me with disgust. The pro-mask attitude may have been forgiven if there was sufficient cause. However, there doesn't seem to be any rational case for forced masking, which I plan to illustrate in short order. If we're to believe the official coronavirus statistics, which are dubious at best, then there is essentially and statistically no pandemic. There is not one single scientific study or any scientific evidence which shows masks slow the spread of disease. In fact, all of the scientific studies that I've personally read concluded that face masks do not slow the spread of disease transmission. In one particular study that I was reading up on from 2015, it concluded that face masks actually increase the contraction rate for influenza-like illnesses. I'm far less likely to spread coronavirus while eating than I am shopping, protesting, or going to church. Do we not have rights over our own bodies? Why can I decide to have an abortion, but I can't decide to wear a face mask or not? Why can I walk to a table with friends at a restaurant wearing a mask only to remove it once I'm seated and enjoy my evening unmasked, yet my child can't sit at a table with his friends and color a picture or solve a math equation without a mask? Please explain to me how these rules make any sense. If I were basing this senseless mandate off of the thinking that you're not considered a contact unless you're around someone for 10 minutes, then why is it necessary? I've never stood in the grocery aisle staring at salad dressing for 10 minutes next to the same person trying to make up my mind. Are any of you aware what the daily death rate in the U.S. currently is? I'll just cut to the chase and let you know that the daily death rate for America is about 7,700, Would it surprise any of you to know that during the 2020 year thus far, that's not increased? I could go on, but the burden of proof does not lie with me or like-minded people. It is, however, on those who seek to change the social order of our community. Such proof must be laid out and should publicly be debated. Whatever decision is made must be made through our democratic process. 5 elected officials, none of which are health officials, should be forcing an entire community into new, conflicting, and unproven ways of life.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks.
How do we want to go forward? Do we want to have a motion first, or do we want to, I mean, usually we do a motion and discuss. I mean, guys, however you want to do it. This is our meeting, not just mine.
I move we approve resolution number 2020-016, extending the requirements of ordinance number 3988 of the city of Hays, Kansas, pertaining to requiring the wearing of masks or other face coverings.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, second discussion. Commissioner Jacobs, how about it?
I'm kind of like Kayla, I write it down so I make sure that I cover
you're better
some
than
thoughts
me.
that I had here. I made the motion, and I'd like to tell people why I will be voting in favor of this. I want to make one statement about the schools. You do understand we have no control over the schools. And the schools, what's happening there is happening somewhere else. I mean, it's caused by someone else. And I'm not here whether to debate whether they work or not, because we decided when we passed the ordinance that we believe they had some efficacy. And I really want to thank everyone, both for and against the mask mandate, for sending emails, working in social media, and writing through the city website. We had so many, the most I've ever seen come through the city website, and it was nice that people did that. And every single person signed their work this time, and that was impressive on both sides. None went unread, but I do have a few I still not have responded to. I've responded to most of them. There needs to be an understanding among us, though, tonight that I'm not intimidated in any way by those that set out to do that. I had friends who shared social media posts with me that I did not have personal access to. I paraphrased from one of them, "Let's show up in mass to intimidate those commissioners into making the decision." Some of the names we were called in print were abhorrent. Where does this kind of hate come from? People that I don't know and don't know me. Why? When do these personal attacks stop? We all have the right to our opinions and have the right to express them. Is it too hard to do that respectfully? To make our cases with words stemming from knowledge and concern and good intention, I don't doubt every one of yours good intention and the beliefs that you have here today. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for each of you and for having the courage to come forward. That's huge, and I understand that. The vulgar language, the name-calling, the pure hate of those that do not agree with you is so far beyond me. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. I ran for the city commission to serve the community that I love to the very best of my ability and to help ensure a strong, sustainable future. And I'm still attempting to do that every day. I've made my decisions totally without political bias. If I get one more copy of a letter that someone else wrote for people to send in that says my political agenda, I'd like them to come have a conversation with me. I ran for this office because it is apolitical. I did not run as a Republican or as a Democrat. I don't have a political agenda. I'll be voting yes on extending the mask tonight for all the same reasons I voted to create the ordinance. I am still listening to medical professionals at Hays Med and at KU Med, and their opinion, for the most part, is to continue the masks. I am sure there are those that don't agree, but only one independent clinic in this community has spoken to me in favor of no masks. I have read articles sent to me about why we should not wear masks, why we shouldn't let the government control us. All of you that sent me articles, for the most part, I read them, but there were some that, it would have just taken forever to get all the way through them. We're in such uncharted waters dealing with the immense unknown. No one knows with any certainty what will come next. I feel I have to stay the course, continue to listen to the same ways that I started listening. As I said a month ago, I will go overboard to provide safety and security to our population, both the citizens of this community and the business community. I want our businesses to stay open. We need our businesses to stay open. I truly believe we benefit from masks. They slow the spread and they protect those who are compromised, even those who do not know they are at special risk. I'll be voting yes. I lost my best friend this week, and they had just moved in, he and his wife had just moved into an assisted living. I have tremendous empathy for what's going on with our nursing homes and our assisted living. We're not causing that. We're not keeping you out of those. I understand it. I understand because of what we're doing that for some reasons it's right, but that isn't us. And I understand how you feel. I'll say one last time, I appreciate your opinion, every single one of you. And I listened to every single one. And all those that said I had my mind made up ahead of time, I don't know if I did or not, but I read every single word that people sent. Thank you, Mayor.
Toby, do you want to talk first? I guess.
Toby Doherty, City Manager. I would add one thing to the commission. Commissioner Jacobs made the motion. The resolution presented to the commission does not have a date. So you would need to include a date or a time specific, or include it being indefinite, and then whoever seconded the motion, I forget, would need to approve the second.
For the sake of this discussion, I move we approve resolution number 2020-016, extending the requirements, the ordinance number 3988 of the City of Hays, Kansas, pertaining to requiring the wearing of masks or other face coverings to end 12/31 of 2020.
A second.
Okay. For discussion. Would you like?
Hold
Hold on, stop. This is my meeting. Stop. This is my meeting. Stop.
No, I'm not gonna stop.
Okay, Chief, take her out, please.
This is not
Take her
right.
out, please.
And I hope people that are watching this realize it's not right. Please.
The meeting is going on. We are discussing. We did not vote. We are discussing a vote.
I'm leading peacefully. It's just
But you don't know how to.
not right.
Have we voted, guys?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Reuter, sorry. That's ridiculous.
First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I appreciate you all getting involved with our community, and I appreciate all the emails, signatures, conversations I've had. I've had a lot of respectful emails, and I respect everybody who's bringing their opinion to me, both for and against. Like with the last ordinance we passed, I voted against it because I believe that the people have the best intentions for their families and their friends and their community at heart, and I think we are so divided right now that we're both pulling each other in opposite directions, and we can't move forward if we're not all heading the same way. Nothing gets done. I mean, all it does is create this hate that I have never seen in my entire life here in this community. It saddens me so much. Raising my daughter and my future daughter, I don't want them to come home from school or me come home from work and they're just like, everybody's so hateful. Everybody's so disrespectful to one another. Because I know in schools, I know that they're not taught to bully and intimidate and speak to one another like that. I know for a fact that I grew up in school, and it was, even if you disagree with somebody, you talk it out. You discuss and compromise. Our entire country was built on compromise. So I can't get over this division. And I think both sides have the best intentions in place. I do. I think one side thinks if we do this, we can help out, and the other side says if we make this decision ourselves, we can do this. We can do it. I think both sides have valid arguments. I will not be voting to extend it, as I did not vote for the original ordinance either. I believe this decision is based solely between the people, their families, and their physicians. I spoke with my physician. specific to me and my family. I'll wear mine when I cannot social distance. I avoid large gatherings. I guess when they say avoid it like the plague, there's a reason for it. I will avoid mass gatherings whenever possible because, like Jason said too, that's when viral load happens. That's when you're going to catch it. And I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to catch the flu either. I try to take all the precautions I can to keep myself clean and avoidance of sickness. I just think we would be better off as a community if we could find some kind of common ground to come together and really unite and tackle this thing head on. I'd rather tackle it hand in hand, of course, social distance. But I'd rather tackle
That was good.
I'd rather tackle it hand in hand than this constant fighting. And social media is a huge drive of it. I hate it. I hate social media. I absolutely hate it. I have it, but I hate it. I mean, I look at it and my wife looks at me and she goes, "Why are you scrolling through that? Why are you reading that?" I mean, because it's everyone just, I'm right and you're wrong. There's no discussion happening. There's no discussion. It's you take what I say is right, or you don't take it at all. And I was not raised like that. My parents did not raise me to be disrespectful. I don't comment. I don't post on anything because I do not want to be disrespectful to anybody. I would take everybody's opinion into account. I read everybody's email. I promise I tried to respond to as many as possible. As you can guess, we probably got I don't even know how many emails we got. I responded to as many as I possibly could before this evening. But I think we need to start looking at finding common ground with one another, or we're going to tear ourselves apart. And I don't think for the future of Hayes, the future of our children, that it's beneficial to just keep going at each other like this. I think we can come together and find some kind of common ground sometime. That's all I have to say.
Mayor, if I could
Absolutely.
make a comment as to my motion. My motion originally, when I had planned this, was a 2-week extension. And in speaking to medical professionals, they said if you're going to extend it, do it for 30 days because you're going to need that with the trending. Exactly why Commissioner Reuter, all the comments he made is exactly why I was advised by a number of people to go to the end of the year. Because we can rescind it whenever we want to. We can call a special meeting tomorrow and rescind that ordinance. There wasn't this kind of division in this community when we said we were going to pass the ordinance. Now it's been 30 days and it's vicious. Do we want to go through this every 30 days? Every 2 weeks? Well, what is it? You know, I don't want to go to 12/31. I want this stuff ended. But I want the discussion. I don't know what the vote will be. I don't expect the vote to probably be in favor of it. But I think that we have to discuss this. And Commissioner Reuter is exactly right. What's wrong with us? Why can't we have a conversation? Nobody has called me or picked up the phone and wanted to have a conversation. I'd be happy to talk to anybody.
They have me.
Oh, Shaun has had his share.
I'm the lucky
Shaun
guy.
has his share. I don't.
No.
Again, I want to explain why. I told you earlier what I saw on social media. And stuff that was signed. I know the names of everybody that put it on there. That you think you can do it and it won't be seen by anybody. It's just ridiculous. There's no political agenda.
I believe that. Commissioner Burgess, do you have anything?
I'm the one this is what these messages are for. Please speak into your mic.
But he was nice and put it in front of all of us, Mike.
I'll try to make sure I speak up. So, I typically, the commissioners know, and anyway, I typically do kind of write out my comments on big things. I did not write out my comments tonight, so I hope I can get through it. Because I have reasons for choosing both avenues. And I know my wife's watching at home. And I think if you ask her after this meeting, she doesn't know when I left the house how I'd actually vote. I'm that torn on it. So I'll step back from a little bit from that and just say, again, we do serve the public. That's why I ran, to be a part of the community in another aspect. It's not a political agenda. It's not, certainly not for the money. I did it to serve. And so stepping back from that, this actually is very encouraging. It's not overly fun right now, but having the community involved, this is just the emails that came through on our comments tonight.
Right.
I'm sure if I printed out the emails we got, it would be a similar stack. There's a petition on both sides, and there's 500 signatures on either one. And so from a democracy, representative democracy, just getting into my political science mindset, it's actually very encouraging. Again, for the five of us sitting here, it's not an overly comfortable position. Our pants are a little bit high right now, but I walked in with John Bird tonight, and he kind of said, offhand a little bit, wouldn't it be nice if we had this kind of community involvement in all our decisions? Maybe not quite as vitriol as it maybe this has been, but we talk about big budget items all the time, and without disclosing a whole lot, we have some very exciting things coming for our community. We got to get through this a little bit, but there's going to be some things that I think the community is going to probably pat us on the back later on this year. So again, I hope people are involved in those discussions as we get into other things. Going back to the mask order, I think a little bit. We've gotten a lot of these comments. The comments kind of come across a little bit. I don't think they really address, I guess, what I'm looking for. The question of whether we should have a mandate or whether we could have a mandate. And that's kind of what all of these. It's kind of we're rehashing the same arguments. That's unfortunately. We did answer that question 6 weeks ago. In the affirmative, a 4-1 vote, whether we should, and the question of whether we should is kind of that science question. What is it scientific? Does it work? Does it not work? Is the virus spread? These kind of things. And whether we could is kind of that question of, well, our freedoms and our rights. Is it you're taking away my rights, our freedom of choice, our freedom of community, and those kind of things. So whether we should or could. But again, we answered that question 6 weeks ago. And again, we answered in the affirmative. Yes, we should, and yes, we could. So when I think about where we're at now, to me the question is now, has it helped or has it worked? And to answer that question, last time when I made my comments of answering and voting in the affirmative, I spoke my comments on how I came to that conclusion. But to answer this question of has it helped, I have to use kind of a different approach. It kind of, so a lot of these emails, and I didn't reply to a whole lot of them just because I, again, didn't know how I was going to vote. And so I couldn't really, I guess, reply because, I don't want to have to re-reply. But a lot of that conversation continued to rehash the same questions. So, but they didn't really help me answer, has it helped? And so if it has helped, then we should extend the mandate. If it hasn't helped, then we should let it expire. And to me, to answer that, it's a little bit more of a mathematical question to me. When we put the order into place, the Sunday night before the Monday, we had 27 active cases in our county. 2 weeks later, on the Tuesday night, so the Monday numbers came out, so on the Tuesday morning, 2 weeks later, we had 13 active cases. So over that 2 weeks, we saw the cases come down, almost or over half. In the time of the mandate, we also saw, and I think this is the right number, but we went 16 days without a new case. And then we kind of, there was a spot in there where we had 3 cases or 5 cases or 8 cases, but by the time we had those cases kind of 3 to 5 to 8, 3 or 5 or 8 had rolled off the other side. So, the spread to me was between 13 to 27 cases, and we stayed within that spread the whole time, usually on the lower end of how many cases we had active. So to me, the mask order was working. Up to a point, though, and that's where it gets foggy. Up to a point, because we had the university open up, and I'm glad they did. I'm going to try to get through this without make it sound like I'm pointing fingers, but we did have the university come in, and that does not surprise us. Not anybody should have been surprised we were going to see a spike in cases. That was going to happen regardless. I guess, but it does fog that equation as I'm going through it. Does the mask work? Does it? Because it seemed to up to a point, and then the university comes. We get 4,000 students into town, and we're at a point where now we're certainly have a spike. And I guess I'm a little bit disheartened that I knew there would be a spike, but to me this spike is a little bit beyond what I anticipated. 127 cases. I have no doubt tomorrow when the numbers come out, it's going to be 160. I know, I think Jason could confirm it, he expects it to rise over the next 2 weeks. So we're going to go through another peak, which again, Cloud, does it help? Does it help? It's hard to know with that, it can up to a point, but to get beyond that point then, with this mandate, I'm going to go back to what Ellis County has basically said. It helps up to a point, but do not gather in groups, do social distance, do wash your hands, wear the mask, isolate. But if we're not going to take the next step beyond just wearing the mask of putting capacity orders in, telling our bars and restaurants that you can only do half capacity, if we're not going to actually write the tickets to drive it home that you have to wear a mask, if we're not going to get into business, and we saw it, and can we do that? Yes, we can. Manhattan has the same order. They shut down a couple bars, and then from what I understand, I guess they opened up steadily. But so can we do that? Yes. It kind of comes down to at that point, though, do we have the stomach to do that to our community? I'm going to speak for myself personally. I don't think I have the stomach to tell a bar owner. I don't have the stomach to tell Toby, the city manager, and Dawn, police chief, that we have to go beyond just educating at this point. We've done educating, and again, I think that's why it has helped up to a point. But if we have to drive it home, then we have to go beyond just educating. We have to make sure we're mitigating groups. We have to make sure areas. So, does it help? I'm going to leave it at that for now. I will say this, that I guess if it goes to a vote to extend, I get where Sandy says we can come in. I very much like that idea of being able to come back and rescind it at any point. That does make it easier. I don't want to be on this merry-go-round. But I would say my extension mindset would only be to September 25th. That's 4 weeks more. I think if we do that, we will see the cases drive back down, and I'm not afraid to get back on this merry-go-round and face the heat again in 30 days.
I'm very respectful of that, Michael, and I'm ready to amend my motion. I have no problem amending it to September 25th. I think it's important that we all understand where this is coming from, though. We got broad shoulders. We ran to sit up here. We said we would come up here and do this. But putting this community through this is just unbelievable. Did all of you read all of that stuff that was on the Facebook page? The nastiness and the words that were used and the name calling? I mean, it was unbelievable.
That kind of goes in a
people
different
thrive off
direction
that.
of what, again, to my, as I contemplate, has it helped? There is kind of that other angle that, man, we do have a group that really makes it vicious, and they're kind of going out of their way to make sure it doesn't help.
Right.
Well, again, John will have to tell me the protocol if I want to amend my motion.
You can still amend your motion with consent
Of the second. And that's why I'd like to hear the second first before I amend it.
I will say, actually, I believe it was Dr. Harris. I believe that's the doctor I talked to. She said at a minimum, a month after Labor Day, it should be extended because the track of how long it takes if people are spreading it. She said if you do it 2 weeks, you're not really doing anything.
Yeah, that's when it took me. October 5th is probably an okay date. It gets to where she thinks that.
Yeah.
Again, it's semantics. I just want us to go on a while yet to get through Labor Day and get through the students getting settled in. And I think I heard, and I won't quote any officers or anything, but I think I've heard that the gatherings went down, college gatherings went down a lot from the first weekend to the second weekend. Maybe because there were a lot of cases at the university, it'll go down again. And I agree so much with Tammy in how this is going to affect people and how many people are going to come through this. And I'm sorry, Mayor, I keep talking out of
We're used to it.
line. That's not nice.
No, we appreciate it.
People are going to survive this, and most people are going to survive it. It's the ones that are compromised that maybe don't even know they're compromised that I'm just reaching out. I think Commissioner Burgess said it best when we ran this, and a number of people have said it, Michael. What's the worst that can happen if we wear these masks again? It's for 30 more days. It's an inconvenience. And what's the best that can happen is we keep people from getting sick.
Keep businesses open, possibly.
Keep businesses open, correct. I'm sorry.
I'll jump in before Ron does.
We'll get down there, Ron, I promise.
Just pass it.
Crap, I should have wrote it down.
But I have to say this part of I'm going to just say this as part of the argument that I absolutely hate. Low death rate.
Right.
To be able to accept that people are dying, we've got the emails that just one person died in Hays, just one. That's not acceptable. It doesn't matter if he died from COVID or somebody. Your friend has passed away. When somebody dies, we have lost that person. In COVID, they are not necessarily getting their wishes on how they are buried or cremated, or their family can see them. Death, to me, you should be able to celebrate that person's life. Mm-hmm. And so when people use that argument, a low death rate, I can't tell you how much that's sad. Death is not an acceptable excuse to just say, yes, some of us are going to die of this or something. I know it's inevitable. I'm at peace with that. Mm-hmm. But to use that as a reason that, you shouldn't, don't worry about it because we're going to die. So, I'm sorry.
Mr. Millick.
Well, first of all, I appreciate everybody that has participated in this discussion, whether it be online, emails, whatever. I've got a number of thoughts. Everybody keeps talking about the children and the schools. I want to reiterate that Fort Hays has their own policies. The schools have their own policies. They're following the state policies. NC-Tech, they have theirs, and it doesn't matter if ours come off or not. There are private businesses here, Walmart, Home Depot, Ace, Dillon's. They all have their policies, and those are set by corporate. And I don't like to hear that people are going to boycott those businesses because of this. I mean, it's fine if you don't go shop it, but to tell everybody else not to, I think that's very poor. But back to the children, the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Kansas chapter of the American Pediatrics both recommend that children wear masks. And believe me, there's thousands of doctors in there, and that's what they've been able to come to an agreement on. So, yes, I feel sorry for the children, but they will adapt. And I think people sell the children short because they can adapt. It's the older you get, the harder it is to adapt to things. But this week I've been sad, I've been angry, I've been horrified, but mostly disappointed. We have people on both sides of this issue that have been vile, vicious, intimidating, threatening, and even downright nasty. Not all have been this way, but a lot have, and a lot more than I ever thought would. Are we becoming like the people we see on the evening news? And we shake our head and say, what is this world coming to? People are going crazy. Civility has become harder to find in our country, our state, and even Ellis County. I've seen posts from people that go to church every Sunday, but only practice those teachings while they're in church. We need to be kind. What has happened that we no longer show any respect for each other? This has been a shocking and sad week in Ellis County with how people have treated each other. And I thoroughly believe people on both sides of this issue, nobody's accusing anybody of going around and coughing in somebody's face trying to give them COVID. I think when you go see your grandparents, nobody will go there if you think you are sick. But it is the people that don't know they're sick, are asymptomatic, that compromise other people, whether it be, at the store, at work, going into a business. So I am just appalled by the way people have acted this week. I'm just appalled. I never thought that I would second a motion that we would go to the end of the year. But with what's happened this week and how people have acted, we're going to tear this whole community apart because people can't compromise. It's my way or the highway. Everybody has their own experts. I'm not saying my expert is any better than your expert, but we're the ones up here that have to decide what's going to happen. And it's not a fun decision, but we are here to take care of the citizens of Hayes. Whether you want to be protected or you don't want to be protected, we have to make that decision. So I'll just leave it at that.
I didn't write mine down, and I'm such a wimp. You'll probably see me break into tears here in a second, but I apologize up front. I wasn't going to go there because we've been all week long, we've got emails about how we're destroying the youth, and that hurts. That hurts. So I had a teacher friend that I think she's been in the district for 20 plus years. She said tonight, text me right for the meeting, said good luck, and FYI, the kids have been awesome. We were giving them mask breaks when possible. I'm not terrified to be in a classroom full of them because we are all wearing masks. Teacher perspective. None of us like wearing them, and talking all day with it on is fatiguing, but in caps, we want to be open. We want kids to have activities. So we are willing to do what it takes. You know, and I see people out here that I've been friends with for many years, people that I, see outside my business quite a bit, and some of you guys are the nicest people I've ever met. And whether you agree with my vote or not, I believe we'll still be friends, I hope. There's been many, my whole goal, to me, I do own a small business. And yes, on Facebook, there's been people say, do not shop there. You know what, I respect that. I'm going to go every day I can, as long as I have employees, and that's getting close. I mean, we've had people that took the test today, so 2 days from now I may be closed. And it's out of my control. I can't do anything about it. And it has nothing to do with them not wearing masks. They wear masks everywhere they can, and most of them, they're not, they're 23, 24, 25-year-olds. It's just a matter of the people they're around. Life is chances. But I'm doing everything possible. When I voted for the mandate last time, and I said before, my goal is to keep the schools open, keep the businesses open. Well, with the recent spread, the businesses are closing. The governor's not telling them to close this time. They're having to do it because they have no employees. And this is just the start of it. If it's true what Jason's saying, it's going to get even worse. He told me the other day when I talked on the phone, we haven't seen nothing yet. Guys, that scares the hell out of me. Because I'll admit, guys, I made up my decision when I seen the numbers come out there today. It's the first time as a commissioner that I knew before I came here Thursday night that my decision was made up. Because it shocked me. I knew the numbers would go up. I've been so disappointed in the businesses closed to the college. We had a meeting the other day, Mr. Burgess, and you were there. Some of them were very respectful, some of them not. Some of them I've been there since, and they've done everything possible they can to adapt. And yes, it's taken money out of their pocket. I've adapted in my store for 3 months. I've had to turn people away because I will not let people sit in there if we can't social distance. It's just, to me, it's the right thing to do. I would love to pack my store like we did 6 months ago, but it's a choice I made. And I have customers from all over the country that come in. I have no idea where they've been, who they've been with, but I choose to do that. I'm really frustrated with the business that just basically screw the city commission. I mean, that's what they've told us, point blank, whether it's on Facebook, emails, whatever. One of them said, why don't we just open full bore, and if we get closed down, at least we made some money. That just blows my mind. But granted, I realize I do have a different customer base. But I also welcome anybody in my store. And I've had everybody blames the college kids. It's all the college kids' fault. I have many college kids come into my store all the time, and they want to be in class. They beg to be in class. And they, they're just, but you can only do so much. But, I believe as a business leader, if we lead by example, a couple months ago, I had a lady, I think it was Scott City, was in my store, and she thanked us for putting a mandate on because she was scared to death to send her daughter from Scott City to Hays, Kansas. It just blows my mind. I mean, Hays has always been known as one of the safest towns in this state. You turn on the Wichita news, and I can't turn on the news every day and somebody's getting shot. I'm not saying it doesn't happen here, but we are a great community. But like you said, Ron, we are tearing our community apart. And we have a great community. It's going to be great once this is over. I very rarely bring deep personal issues into this, but I have a dad in the hospital that's this close to being in a nursing home. And when I hear you say your 99-year-old mother is in the nursing home and what I could possibly not see my dad, it just blows my mind. But I can't change that. That is not our rule. It wasn't our rule. But I really, truly believe, well, for one thing, I will not vote for this mandate if we do not enforce it. I'm truly one of those guys, I believe, do the right thing, tell people that, hey, please do this, please do this. I believe 80% of the people in this town are doing the right thing. But and I don't know. As we all see, numbers are skewed depending on what you look at. But we have to enforce, guys. And it's not, I dread it for the police department. I didn't get up here, our job is to make sure they are funded so they can do their job. And I think we've done a great job, all of our employees of this city. But we cannot pass this without enforcing. I had 2 business owners today. One has a pretty large business and one has multiple businesses, many cities. And the one said, I don't like the mask. He goes, but if this helps slow the spread, move it down the road, I'm all for it. And the other one said that, we're doing everything we can, but people come in here because we're enforcing it, it becomes political to them. It's not political to him. He's just trying to keep his doors open. And it's, and yeah, I'm not afraid to say it, I'm a Facebook junkie. I use it for my business, and it helps my business. And I also try to be honest with people. I try to reply, and then, like the other day, I got friends like, hey, do you know this email you sent to somebody? They reposted it. Well, I'm not going to say something to your face or in an email that I'm afraid of. I mean, I'm not going to hide what I would rather do it like this, face to face. But that's not possible. I mean, it's unfortunate, like I told you today, Sandy, trying to run a business, trying to reply to emails, it's pretty tough. But it's my job. I signed up for it, and I have friends all the time, man, I'm so sorry what you're going. Don't feel sorry for me. I signed up for this thing twice. We got an email the other day saying, your jobs are at stake. The last election was this many votes. And, I remember the first time and Ron, you can maybe help me out on this. My first election, I believe I came in second, and from first to third, there was 20 votes separated us, somewhere in that area. 15, okay, thank you. Trust me, I know every vote counts. And trust me, there's people that have told me they'll never vote for me again. You know what, there may not be a third time. I don't know why anybody would want to do this again. Why I do it? Because I love my community. My wife came here in '96 to go to school. I got a job with Coca-Cola. Everything I have is because of this community. We never thought we'd stay, and now, and I've said this before, you guys have heard it say 100 times, I can never imagine leaving. I have people come to my business every day and like, wow, this town is, people from Denver, people from bigger cities, all the crap they've dealt with. They said, I could see myself living here. I could see, and of course they don't read Hayes Post and the Facebook post. They don't see that. But what we're dealing with here is nothing what they're dealing with in New York and Denver. We're not the big cities. We never will be. But this crap that we're all doing to each other on Facebook and everything else is unbelievable. And and some of you out here, you get on here and you see the same 20 names, and they just go back and forth. And I appreciate people giving their opinion. That's their right. And those people out there protesting, that is their right. And I'm glad that they can do that. But guys, all of us up here, and I know all of you guys very well, you guys are doing it for your community. And I think we're all doing a great job. And, we had so many people applaud us last time, even when they disagreed with us, how respectful we were to people. And I apologize to the commission how I handled that. But I warned her before, and we've had people come in here many times disagree with us. But there's a time and a place. This is our meeting. We set the ground rules, and we're going to follow them. But I don't appreciate, I apologize to you guys how I handle that, because that's not the way I treat customers. And to me, my community is my customer. So commission, it's time for a vote, right? Well, maybe.
Well, first of all, I would like to say I totally agree with the mayor in terms of enforcement. I think that if we're going to do this, I have businesses saying you have to enforce it or it doesn't do any good to anybody. We're not running out and mandating that the police run in and give tickets to everybody. And there's lots of education going on right now. There's lots of chances being given to do things the right way. But I think that's probably the one big thing I did hear besides the yes and no was if you're going to have it, enforce it. Again, my 1231 was as much shock value as anything. I've got broad shoulders. I can handle getting these messages every day if you want to send them. So if I could get a second to my amendment, I'd amend it to end October the 5th.
I would second the amendment to October 5th.
I think he has to.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. Ron, you have to. Sorry. I don't know where we're at. Sorry.
That's why I was looking that way.
My thought is, as vicious and vile, and the way everybody acted, I don't want to go through this again. But I'd be willing to second that. But if we go through this again, and people act like they have done this time, not only to us is one thing, but to each other. and people in this, people you don't even know, then I'm willing to extend this thing for 20 years. Because I'm tired of that. That is just not right. That is not right.
Ron, I want to add something to that. I have a lot of supporters that, you got to mandate this. And I tell them all the time, whether they agree or not, there will be an end to this mandate. I will not vote for this mandate forever.
Well, 20 years isn't it?
I know, but I'm just saying.
What I'm saying is if we're going to go through this and people are going to treat each other the way they've treated each other this last week, I'm sorry.
But the people for it have to respect it just as much as people disagree with
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
And that's but it's both sides anymore. And
yeah.
it just.
Mayor, you have your consent to the amendment.
I have my consent to amendment. October 5th.
Okay. I'll second that.
Can I add something real quick?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything that we can do, I guess I think this might just be something we have to do off commission, just within our community, is working together, trying to bring us back to some kind of semblance of a unified Hayes. I want to ask for everyone to just try to communicate with each other, civilly.
Be civil.
Be
Kind.
speak to one another, because I honestly don't think either side is out to get the other. I think both sides are just so passionate about saving what they have that, and then locking them up for 6 months doesn't help. I think that's on the state level. I think the trigger was pulled way too early on all that.
I agree with you.
Comparing us to Johnson County.
I do agree with you. And I think that's what, people say we're scaring them. That's what led to being scared, I believe, locking us down the way they did.
It was, the buck kept passing down. They're like, we'll throw a blanket over the top of you.
Yep.
Everybody follow the same rules, and then we'll start taking it away. Now it's your problem, and it leads to this.
I wouldn't ask my worst enemy to go through that again.
No, I don't ever want that to happen
But
again.
something that really bothers me is when somebody's talking about blowing somebody else's brain out because they don't think the way they do.
Well, that's not civil discussion.
That's what really gets me upset.
No, and
The word kill was in those Facebook posts.
Yeah.
Well, and I was told this week that I'm leading people to suicide. I'm leading to the death of kids. I have 3 kids.
Shame on you.
Shame on you. And
I have 3 kids. You have 1.
You have one but another.
So to send those emails to us.
Yeah. And
that goes back to me pointing out that using death as some sort of
unbelievable.
reason to do it or not do it.
My wife, I sit at home and I respond to this, and she's like, why do you do that? I feel like it's my job. And you know what, this week, first time in maybe ever for me, I unfriended people, I blocked people, because I just couldn't deal with it anymore. And I don't do that. I don't hide from anybody. People that hate me, I don't hide from it. That's just who I am. I never have, and I never will. But when you say that I'm leading kids to suicide.
I'm friends with 3/4 of the people in this room. And if they feel like I do, we're friends when we walk out of this room. If we can't disagree civilly, if we all agree, I've said this on this commission forever, if we all agreed 4 of us could stay at home. That's not how this country works.
I will say if people get off on, you brought the mayor to his knees, you did. You did a damn good job of it. But I'll be damned if I give up, because I love this community. So the motion is to extend it till October 5th.
Yes.
So what is the, I struggle with that. Not gonna lie to you. What is our, what are we basing, how we're gonna continue, or how are we gonna take it off?
I think we've opened up some good conversations with the health officer
Okay.
and looking at the numbers. I don't know what that trigger is, and I think that is a valid question. But I think my intention or my thinking is,
We owe it to
if we
the
get through
constituents.
another 30 days, we may be past everything. The students may settle down, it may all work. I think if we're going to set that date, we need to be planning in advance and let the community know how we're going to make a decision on that night, what it's going to be. And I think it needs to be a plan, and it needs to be a formal plan with the 5 of us working on it.
But I don't want to come back every 2 weeks and talk about this.
No.
So do we put it into motion? I mean, what do I just don't want to keep
put
doing
it
it.
in motion.
If we're
We-
gonna
We can
have
bring
to
that
hash
back.
that out
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a work session
And I
or
think we
something.
will.
Okay.
We need to take
Okay.
care of the current business.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I respect
And
that.
I think a work session would be a great
Okay.
option.
I respect that. And I just think we owe it to our constituents. There has to be an end date. And I don't know what that is right now. So, okay, all in favor of the motion extending the mandate as written to October 5th, correct? Hold on a second. Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, nay.
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 Motion passes 3-2.
May I ask a question of Mrs. Dreiling? The paperwork that you send out? Tammy, I'm sorry. Yes, Tammy.
Yes, it was from, on that first page that has a highlight on it.
Uh-huh.
It has on the back page that I got that from the CDC, from California. So
Okay.
it was legit,
I think
but
it's
on the bottom, of that last page of somebody's that's highlighted.
I think it's a very valid point, and I think it's very good, and
I do too.
If we can figure out a way to distribute it, I'd like to do that.
Do you know if the,
Thank you.
do the schools have this? Have they been
I
sent
don't
this?
think so. I did my research before I came tonight because it interests me that when I do go somewhere, I wouldn't even mind wearing mine if everybody would wear them properly or majority.
Yeah.
But when you go in and they have them under their nose
Yep,
or
yep,
they're moving everything in the grocery store, it is kind of gross when you're checking out and they're just fidgeting with it and everything,
Yep.
and they pull your vegetables out. I mean, that is disturbing to me, and so
I see what
that
you're
kind
saying.
of thing is where I fall off the boat of here and there, and I don't know if maybe in October, this is an idea, is once people try to go through again, maybe people would make the right decision and continue to wear them then. Maybe everybody
be
just needs to give it a try.
Yeah.
Let their guard down and compromise. And then maybe in October, we can compromise and everybody can, well, we don't have to wear them if you don't want to, but do wear them if you want to. And it will continue on in peace. I don't know, but it's worth a shot. I mean, everybody's got to let
I would
their
love that.
hearts out there because
I would love
everybody's
that.
tracking, and it's easy for people on Facebook to say something and hide behind that screen. But how many showed up here tonight that said those awful things? Where are they?
Yeah.
They need to show their face and talk to you, like you said, face to face, and not be nasty.
But you guys showed up, and we
We appreciate
appreciate
your
that.
comments.
compromise.
Very
So,
serious.
thank you guys.
Well,
To be able
I,
to sit and look at all of you is really important when you're making decisions like this.
I know many of the school board members. I will make a point to get
Thank
this to
you.
them. Absolutely.
And there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of good that can come from this too, of maybe this will drive people together and say, you know what, I don't like your plan, you don't like my plan, let's all come to the table, and I'm more than happy to hear any kind of plan that our people bring.
Boy,
into
me
us.
too.
Commissioner Reuter, I 100% agree with everything you said. I mean, if we can meet in the middle, possibly, I think it'd be great. One thing that I would like, I called first call for help today. I know I'm picking up my third grader from school today. Yep, kids are dropping their mask on the floor or the ground, picking them back up. It's going to happen. And I also know having 3 kids, there's, technically, if you've had them on all day, you shouldn't be wearing the same mask tomorrow. There's a lot of parents that can't afford masks. First Call for Help did do a thing. I think United Way donated monies or masks or something early, and maybe Mr. Burgess,
Put me on the spot.
well, I'm not trying to, if you know more of that. But I believe they donate. I think all they they gave a
They're,
ton of.
I do know this for the United Way this week are collecting PPP items.
Okay.
To give out to.
So.
Are they going down? Her supplies probably.
So
Reminder, Heartland Foundation has a grant.
Yes,
coming.
I have heard that. So I am going to issue a challenge to our community. I talked to First Call for Help, United Way, whatever they think is best. I believe each school kid, because parents, there's no way can keep up watching these masks every single day. Not possible. My wife and I work all the time. We should do laundry every day, but sometimes it's every 2 or 3 days. But if people could possibly donate cash, buy masks, and donate to, it'd be nice to go to 1 or 2 places, and then people go there, no questions asked, hey, I need more masks for my kids. Because that's another burden we're putting on families, is they need more masks. Because if they wear the same mask, if some of you guys said they have the flu, they're just going to spread it like wildfire. And it'd be nice, and I am going to, and I told my wife tonight before I spoke, at our store, we've been profiting from that. We've been selling them. You know, it's kind of slow because now everybody's got them, which I guess is good. But we, personally, at my store, we're going to donate the rest of our kids' masks. Anybody, you come in tomorrow, you can have it. No questions asked. But I would like to see our community, if you can, and it's not a must, if you can, donate cash. Every store has them. Buy a child's mask, take it to First Call for Help, and if mom or dads cannot buy their kid a mask, the amount please stop by there, and and I'll be in contact with First Call, and hopefully they can. I'd ask them.
I'll commit dollars to that, Mayor, to help out with that. I actually have 4 grandchildren, and I bought 20 of them because I know they don't get it washed that often, so they each have 5.
It's a small piece of the pie, but we gotta help. I didn't even think about it. It's so expensive putting your kids in school. School clothes and stuff, and now we all gotta have this. Hopefully 5 days a week, and I think we need to help out if we can. So, and I know.
Let's make this the last 30 days.
I talked Big Brothers Big Sisters. Part of their CARES money, if they get it all, was to purchase more masks. For them. So that's a plus. So. For what it's worth, I don't even know where we're at. We voted, right?
That's done.
Okay, that is done. Next item would be
progress.
Jeez, thank you, Colin. Please give me progress.
And anybody that doesn't want to listen to
you do not have to
progress, you don't have to stay.
We very much appreciate you guys.
Thank you for coming, and thanks for staying.
Thank you, everybody.
And I really mean it. And Kayla, I have total respect for everything you said. I want you to know that. I know that's tough.
Thank you.
I'll probably still email you.
That's okay.
You can email
We
me
like
100 times.
suggestions. We like suggestions.
No, it's nothing personal towards me either. I respect it.
Well, I'm
I've known
taking.
you for a lot of years, and I
don't know who called
I appreciate
me.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I'm taking that.
Thank you.
personally. I don't know who called me an old man.
You can dazzle us.
Okay. Colin Belzer, Assistant City Manager. And for this month's progress report, Public Works did some work on Elm Street, approximately around 19th and Elm. They replaced sections of concrete. There's some before and after and some shots of them actually doing the work. It was about 45 yards. 14th and Oak, they did another concrete patch. This was about 17 yards to repair failed pavement. 15th and Main Street, this was right across from City Hall, so I'm sure we saw that on Thursday evenings, but they replaced some curb, storm sewer work, as well as the ADA ramp. The Hayes Fire Department did a tech rescue, so this one was confined spaces. This was done at the old Washington School, and then we have quarterly, or the fire department does quarterly training, so actually the picture on the right, I had asked Chief Higgins, but that little black rope-looking thing is obviously an air. Kind of like the old scuba divers is how I pictured it, with just the rope coming down the helmet. We did take possession of a new fire engine in August. It replaced an old truck that was from 1998. It can hold. It's a pumper truck, so it can hold about 750 gallons of water, and this cost approximately $462,000.
Do we get to drive it?
You can ask Chief Higgins.
Toby already said no. It's not very nice, Toby.
I want to spray it.
What's his review?
Yes. This is a nice piece of art that was donated graciously by John Bird.
Beautiful.
It was installed, and they will be having a ribbon cutting September 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you, John. That really is a nice piece.
Thank
Yes.
you, John.
But you made it happen.
The Parks Department put some sealant on an area at Mount Allen Cemetery. Obviously, the decorative cement there has some gaps and cracks, and we're trying to protect that, so that's what the sealant will do. I've come here a lot of times talking about them spraying trees, so you can see it's working. There's a picture of the tree in April, and then this is what it looks like in August. Wow. I know. I got tired of talking about spraying all the time.
I've got a couple too.
They've also been busy with just general repairs, some playground repairs, some paver walls. Also conducted some street trimming along the waterways for vehicle clearance, and then obviously we've had quite a bit of rain lately with storms. IT, so the city has a financial HR and utility billing software, and the server that it was housed on had past its date of use. It needed replaced, so the IT department had to move the software from that server on a new server, and then they had to duplicate the software because the new software has upgrades, and in order to allow for a transition of learning period, there's actually 2 systems running on that server, and Kim's going to have a lot of fun learning the upgrades that will be happening, but at least it won't be a sudden change where we don't know how to operate the software. Police Department, in partnership with Kiwanis, participated in the Big Brothers Big Sister boat race. I don't believe they won. Water Resources Department, there was some work on General Custer Road that was part of our street maintenance program, so that's greatly improved. Midlands Contracting, you probably saw about this also in our news flash. We installed the new booster pump, which allowed a secondary water source to the north side of I-70. It was installed, hooked up to the water line, and they're adjusting the waters right now. Yes.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
And it's not a complaint because people are really saying how wonderfully the city is responding.
Yes.
Things going on with hookups to refrigerators and all that, and they said the city's been fabulous. Have we had a lot of problems with the pressure causing issues in homes?
I can check with Jeff to get
Okay.
you a number, but I don't.
They were really complimentary of Jeff. The 3 that I spoke to said he was just outstanding to work with.
I've heard that myself.
Yeah, I think we expected some of that, obviously with greater pressure, and so I know he's been fielding a lot of calls. I can find out
I
exact
would take
number.
that pressure, even if I had to break a line and fix it. I would like that pressure.
Well, he's probably watching. We can probably have him call. Want to call in, Jeff? Call Toby, and Toby can the answer.
Water Resources have also been promoting drought-tolerant plants on social media. We've been doing some well rehabs, as you know, and so this shot is actually one of our smoky wells and city wells. And actually, upon inspection, they noticed that it needed some additional work. So the picture on the left, they're actually lowering a new pipe, per se, into the old pipe, and then they'll seal it around, so there'll be a new pipe in there.
Thank you for showing us what a well house looks like.
You're welcome.
It wasn't in our last report.
I've been wanting to see one of those. Thank you.
Jeff's never showed.
Crispin's really gonna text now.
I wish Melissa was
That
here.
is
Yes.
This is awesome.
Yeah. So obviously we're freshening up the historical plaque markers. There's approximately 30. I was curious, so I did ask Melissa, and she reached out to Fort Hays. Essentially, they brush or wipe off the dirt. They scrub the green spots with abrasive pads. Then they really focus on the small spots, shine by hand, brush it clean, apply a coat of wax, and then they buff that wax off. And at each sign is taking about an hour and a half to complete.
Wow. Well, it is worth it.
How long will this last?
I don't know how many more they have left.
How long will it?
Oh, well, they're going to start doing yearly cleanings. It had been a long time, so they're not going to have to do as much in the future. So
That is so awesome because people walk down Main to look at that
They're
all
just
the time.
beautiful.
regular maintenance will make sure they stay that way. We also have a historic church tour available to people. Our CVB's been updating that. They're wanting to do a virtual church tour with some footage. Picture on the left is St. Catherine Church, and then on the right is the inside of the Cathedral of the Plains in Victoria. March to Maine went virtual. Brandon Cooley and CVB secured a video welcome message, which I know you guys participated in. The video is up for 2 weeks and will allow students to watch, and then I guess I understand there's some award possibilities of watching this and participating in March to Maine. We also filled 1,400 welcome bags for new students at Fort Hays, Nex-Tech, and the Academy of Hair Design. Each bag included visitor information, local coupons, and a City of Hays face mask. The airport took possession of a snow removal truck. This was budgeted in 2019. The total amount of the truck was roughly $271,000, but it's a 90-10 split with FAA, so it only cost us about $27,000. We were using pickup trucks to plow the runway, and they are about 8 feet wide. This is 16-foot wide plow. So it'll
Can I drive that?
I'd like to drive that.
It does look fun. We did have some diamond grading occurring to get rid of some of the waviness of the pavement. You can see the picture on the right. The pavement on the left has been grinded down, and then the right is not. They'll get to that, but it's to stop the waviness that kind of happens over the years. Reconstructed Miller from 8th to 9th. This project cost $58,000, and it was part of our street maintenance. Lincoln Drive reconstruction, they're still working it. It's in progress. Should be done in about another 3 weeks, and this cost $85,000. It's between 19th to 20th on Lincoln Drive. And then they'll be moving on to General Custer 22nd to Centennial. J-Corp will. So with North Vine, work has continued mainly on the frontage road. You can see that on the right. The left image, but the right side is the frontage road they've been working on. At the same time, they've been working behind kind of around 37th and Skyline, installed a box culvert for the road that will be going through there. They've started work on in front of Hay Chevrolet and creating that entrance. This week they opened up Arby's. I think it was this week, might have been last Friday. I get confused. There's lots of changes occurring down there, but the picture on the left obviously shows it shut, and then on the right you can see it open.
So glad for them.
And then this was taken, I think, on Tuesday or Wednesday, so it looks different now, but they're putting up the temporary traffic poles, or the poles to hold those light signals in anticipation of the traffic shifting over, which happened today. We do have police, making sure that everything's safe up there. It's a big change in traffic, so keep motorists aware. But they are now officially on more Vine Street, and they're 14% done with the job.
Good question.
14%?
14%.
We did something at the wastewater plant when we were doing the rebuild. Is there any way we could do something like that, where like a live cam, like where you could see from up above?
Oh, cool.
Because that was
talked about it, but we couldn't get anything high enough or scale enough to get any sort of a progress. It's
Okay.
too big of a work area.
okay. I just think because when you see it from there, you're like, wow, look what they've done.
They've done drone videos. The company that's doing it has done drones, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Brandon Cooley goes up regularly in this.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that's cool.
We're trying to do every week, but yeah, like Toby did say,
Thank you, Toby.
we talked about that, but
14, are we ahead of schedule, on schedule?
they still expect the project to be done November 2021. So we're right in there.
I'll make some comments. I'm speaking of jumping ahead, but on progress, on our progress report, that's where my comments. These are not my closing comments. Progress report. I last week I think it was. I spent an hour or something with Chad Reuter. You let a tech guy get his hooks in you, and you kind of lose track of how you get drug into a wormhole. You don't know how you're going to get out of it. But spent a good time with Chad Reuter with the IT department. And talk about a guy that's both excited and fearful. I think we got a CARES Act for fiber going out to the airport. He couldn't be more excited about getting that. At the same time, the complications of tech and getting that resolved kudos to him. I again enjoyed my time with him and learned a lot about tech. I'm not a tech guy.
Not me either.
Getting the guts and the inside of it was great. I also spent last month with Jamie at the airport, and again spent a good hour or two out there. So Our departments, they are fantastic with their job. You can,
Yes, they are.
how much can a tech guy tell you, or how much can an airport lady give you? And if you don't pull yourself away from their conversation, it will go.
Yeah. Well,
They know the inside and outs of all their departments, and
Oh, yeah.
will,
That's
so
awesome.
I appreciate their time, and I think there's some, as I said in my other comments earlier, we got some fantastic things coming for our
Oh,
community
man.
that I think they're going to rally behind us and start patting us back on the back at some point. But
You know, I'd die to be talking about roundabouts on a daily basis right now.
Give me roundabouts all day long.
You know, let's end this. Commissioner Millick?
I have nothing this evening.
Nothing?
Nothing. I'm gonna let Sandy talk. For
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't start
She
with her
never
this
gets
time.
to
She never
talk.
shuts it down. But we love you
She
talking.
can have my 2 seconds.
Commissioner Burgess, you got
right
anything
back to
else?
me. I just said those weren't my closing comments, but now I'm right back to what
Go ahead.
I guess I want to express to there's kind of I guess a particular group that we all kind of I think see that send us lots of messages, and I want to I guess express to that group and that kind of chord that I couldn't actually disagree more with the reasonings that they gave us for not extending. And again, I'm expressing this because I voted to not extend it, but I could not be further away from their reasoning for why not to extend it. Again, I try to give my reasoning as why I came to that conclusion, and I don't think it lines up at all with what they were actually sending us. So I don't want that. I don't want that core group sending me any thanks on my behalf for standing up for them, because I actually don't feel like I did stand up for their reasoning. And I don't want, we have the order in place, and so I don't want any, I do believe it needs to be enforced. So I actually agree personally. I agree with the mandate personally. But I was told, we were all told to take your personal beliefs out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So I do actually believe very much that we needed the mandate, and to continue with it, I believe we have to enforce it. So again, I'm speaking out to those that are going to maybe send me the sympathy, hey, you voted against it, now they're enforcing it, can you do this or that? No. This is what we're going to do, and I stand with enforcing it. So that kind of speaks to the other commissioners. That's where I actually do think it's a worthy mandate, regardless of my vote. Now, I do think, and we'll get to that, we need to come to terms on what that means.
We
And
do.
I certainly have in my mind what that means, but
There has to be an end. Yep. I agree.
So I guess that kind of gets that part out of the way. There is something on Facebook. I gotta get to it.
Oh, no.
Wrestling coaches, they're always they're the wisest. Wrestling coaches, I think they're always the wisest because they have a lot of time to stand around in the wrestling room and think. Because football and basketball, they got to run plays. Wrestling coaches, they just kind of stand. So I always think wrestling coaches have the smartest things to say. So there's an old wrestling coach on here, and I'm going to paraphrase what he says because his is actually towards schools. But schools and city commissions and our local officials are trying to answer the unknowable by examining the unforeseeable. We need to quit blaming our local officials, and he goes, CASHA, school boards, other boards that are making these kind of decisions for making poor decisions. The answer is a quick and efficient testing policy or vaccine. That's we know that's the answer. When we'll get it, we need to be able to test quickly and know right away. We don't have that. So without that, we're just wandering around the dark. We have failed on this front on the federal level, resulting in confusion and often delay responses, and leads to conspiracy theories, and that leads to the political back and forth. And I think to me, that's very true. We're trying to make decisions without really knowing, and we have to go with our gut a little bit right now, and what my gut says, what the people that have came forward tonight and what people are saying. But in the end, we're the ones that are up here, and we have to make that decision. I mean, and I've had to reply to several of them. Next time running, if you think you have the answer, run. So.
Amen. Step right up.
There'll probably be hundreds lined up next year.
Line to run.
Commissioner Reuter.
I wanted to thank everybody again that showed up tonight, and everyone that was respectful, took their time, spoke their opinion, did things peacefully and cordially. I really appreciate that. It speaks volume to the character. I think I kind of think we talked about it when we come to some work session in the future here, to really get into the weeds and getting a plan put together. Because I think, this is unprecedented time, and now we have the opportunity to take this into account and start really knocking plans into place on how things should go. All the while making sure we're listening to the people. So I appreciate, again, all the emails and whatnot. And again, I'm sorry I didn't get to every single one of them.
You had a job?
Yeah.
Had a real
job.
Had a
Yeah.
family?
Yeah, job sometimes, you know. You know how it is. I don't get to sit at home all day as much as I wish I could. But I guess even then, my wife puts me to work. So
It's best to be working.
yeah. So I think, like Michael said, we got a lot of great things coming, and I don't want to lose sight of that. I think if we can continue to keep our eye on the ball and keep moving forward and focusing on these upcoming projects and maintenance programs and everything like that, I think we can continue to drive through 2021 in the future for the city of Hayes and just continue to make it the great place I knew I grew up in.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jacobs.
A couple of things. The thanks goes unsaid. I've talked to everybody tonight about how much I appreciate you guys coming forward. I may not agree with everybody, but I'm telling you, I'll fight to the end to give you the opportunity and keep you within your right of being able to give your opinion whenever. I just ask that you do it respectfully. Last time I pulled out one of the emails I got and that meant something, and with what everybody said here tonight, I just wanted to read one really quickly, and I won't share any names or anything, but it really says it as simply as you can say. This is who, when I read this, I will be able to say, this is who Hayes is, and this is where we need to get back to. She said, today's not going to be fun for those concerned with the meeting tonight. I want to add a note of thanks for your efforts to keep the city residents as safe as you can. There are those of us in the community that truly applaud your efforts and recognize how difficult it's been and can't imagine the abuse you've been subjected to. Tonight will be no exception. Just know there's a segment of the citizens who are with you in your decisions, even should this mean the mask mandate will be allowed to expire. We understand. Please accept our apologies for the behaviors of some of our fellow residents. That's who Hayes is.
Yep.
That's who we are. We'll get through this. I'm going to believe this isn't going to happen again. I'm going to believe that everybody's got it out of their system and it's not going to happen again. We do need to make changes. And I started to say I did lose my very best friend this week, a friend of 45 years. This nursing home situation is very, very difficult. He died with his wife in the assisted living, and they'd only lived there for 3 days. And she was with him, and they took her away, and nobody's been able to get in to see her. Nobody can go in and give her a hug. Her children can't go inside. That's wrong. There is just so much wrong with this. We have to stop this virus in its tracks. And if our little piece of it adds anything to it, I'm going to wear my mask constantly. Thank you all, and thank you again for giving your opinions.
Commission, thank you, guys. I think you probably got the softest mayor that's served in a long, long time, but it's who I am. Sorry. I appreciate just the respect you guys showed. I apologize to the constituent out here that I had to ask to leave, but we set the ground rules ahead of time, and I promise to always show respect to people, and I know you guys have done a super good job, and that's probably my least favorite thing I've ever had to do since I've been a commissioner. And yeah, it's I just I respect everybody right now in this community that's working their butt off, whether you're a school teacher, a business owner, first responder. I mean, there's people. I had a teacher talk to me the other day, said that she had to come up with 18 different plans on what they may have to do with all the changes this year. Can you imagine 18 different plans on how you're going to run your job? Unbelievable. I mean, all of us business owners have had to adjust, but that's a lot. But, I do know. I go to these schools, pick up my daughter. And it is a little sad seeing kids with masks and no smiles and stuff, but, and I grabbed my daughter's hand, and she smiled, and she's laughing and having a good time, and that's what it's all about. We have to be parents. We have to be above this, people. We're a dang good community, and we will get through this. Staff, thank you guys for this lovely 2-hour meeting again. I know that's what you guys want to do on a Thursday night, but thank you guys for everything in advance. I know it's not going to be easy, but police department, thank you guys for what you have to do. We're adjourned.